Steph. Long time no speak. We're back. How's it going?
We are back. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, all good. All good. Yeah, been a good week. It's been a good week. But yeah, happy to talk about. We do want to try to bring a positive spin to the club right now, and I think right now the best thing we can do is probably look a bit forward. So definitely this week, I'm quite keen to talk about who we're going to potentially, who our head coach of the future is going to be. I guess it's annoying because I think we come from a point of having stability in this position, but now we have to, the way the club's going, it's quite evident that whether Conceicao is for the long term the coach for the future, beyond this season that is, or not, that's come into question, and it sounds like he's more likely going to be no, specifically because obviously the sporting director is going to be changed, what looks like. So yeah, I think definitely one. I think if we can start off this week talking about who do we feel like our head coach will be in next season, but also probably just start off by reviewing Sergio Conceicao as Milan coach, or equally, maybe his pros and cons, and then we can go on to potentially some names. So definitely, yeah. So I guess let's start off with Sergio Conceicao. What do you think of him?
Good question. I mean, he's been here less time than Fonseca, right? He's been here for about 5 months, 4 or 5 months, I think. Maybe even less than that, actually.
Who's that? Conceicao?
Conceição, yeah.
Oh no, he's only been here since
January, right?
yeah, it would have been, I think like just
God,
latter December. Yeah.
God,
We're
it's
only
felt like a long time, man.
2 months. We'll say about just over 2
2
months.
months. So he's done, I think, just shy of 20 games. I think that's about right. I think he's done about
Yeah.
18, 19 games, and he's got about 50%, if I'm right in saying that. Again, I haven't got the facts in front of me, but it's about that. Now, what do I think of Conceicao? That's a big question, because there's such a small sample size, and you've got to kind of give him some benefit of the doubt that he's come into an awful situation. He didn't get the preseason that Fonseca had. He didn't get the warm-up that Fonseca had. But at the same time, I would argue he probably got more backing than Fonseca had in terms of player choice. So when you balance it out that way, it's kind of like probably equal in terms of assessing them. He clearly is a manager who understands how to operate in a big club better than Fonseca did. His press conferences are much better. The way he talks to fans is the right thing, and how he assesses performance and effort level, I'm happy with, because he understands that what it needs to be to play for a big club. Whereas Fonseca was quite happy to kind of blame the players not being able to play his system. Conceicao is very much blamed himself, which is what I expect for a big club manager. So from that aspect, I think he's been much better than Fonseca, much better. However, tactically, I think it's a little bit more dubious, because he's better against the bigger opposition. I think that's, except for recently, I would argue. But overall in his tenure, he's clearly set up much better against Inter, against the bigger teams. Obviously, the Real Madrid one's an anomaly, in the sense that was under Fonseca's rule, and that's probably the best game we played all season.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Steph, I do look at the football and I do think, this is not suited to the players that we have at all. At all. So whereas what Fonseca was trying to achieve, I think, was a little bit more aligned to the players that we have. I do look at Conceicao and I think, I'm not sure this is going to work long term. So with the current level of, or case study we have in terms of the games he's operated in, I would probably give him like a C grade. And a lot of that positivity for me actually comes from his handling of the press, and his handling of the team, rather than his in-game performance, because I think his subs are a little bit question mark, and I think his tactics are not actually suited to this team. So that's my opinion. Obviously 2 months, not a huge sample size. So what do you think about that?
I was gonna say, would you, based off what you just said, would you keep him on beyond the season?
Oh, that's a really good question. My gut feeling says no, but my brain says yes. And the reason why my brain says yes is because I do not think constant change helps at all.
Yeah.
But my gut feeling is I do look at him and I don't think he will have a long-term future at this club.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think in the sense of what his future sort of lies, I'm going to probably come with a slightly different stance with what he's been like as a coach. But yeah, his future clearly is aligned to how Milan finish, which then if you're kind of starting off mid-season with kind of one arm tied behind your back because of the poor performance from the first half of the season, specifically in the league, then obviously he's the first name of the chopping block when it comes to what management want to do to shake things up. And obviously the reality of him only coming in with like a 6-month deal with obviously I think there was some terms that potentially to extend it from the club side came with an indication that they probably didn't believe in him 100% when he was brought in the first place. So it's kind of more of an indictment when it finishes and he probably won't get top 4. Then it's kind of like, okay, cool. Like, see you later. I think the reality with Conceicao, I think, when he came in, when his first couple of press conferences was, it doesn't matter if you win kind of like 1-0, winning was important, and it doesn't matter the style of the football for that. And I think at that time we were definitely wanting that. We were wanting a coach that just we didn't care how we got there. We just cared about the results, and we were getting that. The first couple of games, Super Cup, the sort of the honeymoon period, and those comeback wins, specifically, being 1-0 down to Juventus at half time. And then equally 2-0 down to Inter Milan in 50 minutes in the Super Cup to turn those games around and win in normal time was fantastic. And then we're then doing that in sort of the next following games too. And then that quickly that honeymoon period evaporated after sort of losses to Zagreb in the Champions League, and then equally and on the results have just come to pass as well. So I do think though. As I sort of sit here and I sort of observe a lot of opinions specifically on Twitter, but opinions even between ourselves as within Sempre Milan channel, I see a lot of attack on him, where I think right now my head is more directing itself towards players too, and I understand that he isn't the most. He doesn't sound like the most likable of coaches because what he says, and he's very direct. I think the reality is that we have upped the caliber of players at this club, at least on paper.
Agreed.
And I think, and I said this towards the end of the Bologna game. I think, and I always think players should hold themselves accountable, specifically when they've made so many individual mistakes and errors that have led to these results. The red cards, Mike not being able to save shots at the near post, players who can't sort of pass the ball at the right time in sort of the last final third. Things where I understand it's not as if we're completely doing nothing on the pitch. We're getting into positions where you think, okay, oh my God, like a chance is coming up, and then someone fucks up.
Yep.
And it's just like this consistent. And then equally at the other end of the pitch as well, where someone equally just has a horrendous mistake in defense. And the only thing that's getting us through it, to be honest, is the hard work rate of players like Pavlovic, where
and Reinders and Pulisic or whatever. Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah. But like even to some of those other players you just mentioned there, Reinders and Pulisic, like they've also been culpable in their performances too. And there's not too much difference to what Conceicao's lined the team up compared to Fonseca. He hasn't completely changed the way that we've played the formation. It's the culture's still there. It's still kind of like just be a bit more hardworking about it. You don't.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when we have gone direct, like we did against Bologna with the long ball over the top and Jimenez knocked it over, that led to Leao goal. And it's I look at the players quite a lot now, equally as well as I look at Sergio Conceicao and these performances, because I think like if you're not bought in, then fine, maybe this is something about the coach. But I think equally, where's the pride there on the shirt? And I think a lot of the players that we brought in over the years, specifically the ones that have come into the club, not all of them, I think, have come with the right approach. I think they came thinking that Milan was a big fish in a small pond, and you're set because you're at one of the best clubs in Italy, so you don't have to work as hard. Those players, wholly accountable for, and then equally the players who have been here for a long period of time. And I'm looking at players like Leao and Teo, finally now looking around the club and going, great, we've now got backup because we've got good options in depth around. It's not just me having to score all the goals. Equally haven't been pulling their weight as well this season specifically.